Good morning, Mr. Varoufakis. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, this retreat is happening today and the European Union needs new momentum to bolster competitiveness. How?
Exactly in the opposite direction of the one that they are traveling along. I'm afraid that yet again we have a summit where our great and good European leaders spectacularly fail to talk about the one thing they should be talking about. You heard all this discussion about Eurobonds. It's another word for Europe borrowing money, which is something that I have been advocating now for decades. But when reasonable people have a discussion about issuing debt, shouldn't the first question be who on earth is going to be issuing the debt? Because we don't have a federal government in Europe. We have federal money. And this is our tragedy. We have a great central bank, a monolith of a central bank, and we have 20 treasuries that can't really rely on it. And at the same time, we don't have a treasury at the federal level looking after or supporting the role of the central bank. It is such a terrible design, and nobody's discussing the basic question that oozes out of Mario Draghi's report and out of what some of us have been saying now for decades. And it is this.
Have you read the Mario Draghi report?
Or not? Are we going to federate or not? That is the question. Because if they do not federate, they can't really seriously talk about Eurobonds, which is, federal debt.
And have you read the Mario Draghi report, the 400 pages?
Of course.
And which camp are you in? You're clearly in the camp then who wants more Europe and not those who want to ditch the rules.
Look, I'm putting it very, very simply to my fellow Europeans. It was a mistake to create federal money without a federation. The result has been the spectacular drop in investment, the stagnation, which is causing the lack of competitiveness. So we have two choices. We are at a fork on the road. We can move in the direction of federation, or we can disband the euro. Unfortunately, the third choice is the one that our leaders are making, that is neither nor. And when you choose neither nor, you end up falling in between two stools.
So are you not in favour then of this idea of the multi-speed Europe that von der Leyen has been floating? Could it be the end of the 27 as we know it?
Mrs. von der Leyen is proving very adept at coming up with sort of phrases that sound like a solution when they are simply a manifestation of the failure.
But she's teasing another round of deregulation. The Polish are saying the same. That is the way the EU is heading inevitably. What is your view on that?
It's great. It's like rearranging deck chairs in the Titanic. Maybe they were not arranged properly. Maybe we need deregulation. But the reason why Europe is stagnating, the reason why Germany is deindustrializing, the reason why Europe is fragmenting in front of, on the one hand, the United States and on the other hand, China, is because we haven't had any investment for 20 years. And we haven't had any investment because we have created a monetary system, the euro, which is federal in its monetary structure, but it doesn't have a fiscal and an investment dimension, pillar, to support it. So it's a very bad design. And unfortunately, our great leaders are going into a retreat in a castle with a moat, and the only one thing they will discuss is the only one thing that they will not discuss is the thing that they should discuss. Do they want to create a federal treasury and to change the structure of the European Union from a confederacy that is not working and failing Europe to a federation? That is the question.
Well, that is the big question. That is the big question they're reflecting over today in the Belgian countryside. But you're clearly not a fan of EU leadership today. But just when it comes to your leadership, when you were in office, we had an interesting question on social media from a viewer, which is quite reflective on your time in power, reflecting on the book that Alexis Tsipras wrote, saying that your proposals were often, quote, unrealistic or delusional. How do you respond, Mr. Varoufakis, to these criticisms today? And how do you assess your own responsibility for the outcomes of that period?
10 years ago, I put to Mario Draghi, to Christine Lagarde, to Wolfgang Schäuble, to the European leadership at the time, a very simple proposition that either we could continue with socialism for the bankers, that is printing money for big business, and austerity for the many, which would cause a deindustrialization, in the end, even of Germany, or we would have to move in the direction that even Mario Draghi is now advocating, now, not 20 years ago. And they made the wrong choice. I think I was right in what I was advocating back then.
OK, Mr. Varoufakis, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Europe Today. See you very soon.